Make sure you don't have anything important on your home screen, just so that when you share it, it doesn't.
Yep.
I know people are like, wait, so does it start at 6:30 because it's 6:33?
Yeah, my family's texting me like, we don't see it.
You don't have anything important on your. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, so if you have YouTube up, then just make YouTube mute, like mute YouTube. Does that make sense? Oh, you don't have it up? Okay. If you had it up, you'd be able to see like comments or anything. So if you want to pull it up and you don't have to, share your screen with YouTube. But hey, everyone. Okay. So, oh wait, you guys can't hear. Oh, you don't. Can you hear me now? Okay. If you had it up, you'd be able to see like comments or anything. So if you want to pull, up and can you guys hear me? No. Okay, I can hear you now. There's no sound. How is there no sound? Mia, unmute yourself, please.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Do you guys hear me? Because some people are saying yes, and then some people are saying there is no sound. Okay, we can hear you now. Yay! Hey, y'all. All right, great. We got Brooke in the house, Caitlin, Steady Movement, Candidly V, Wayne.Wade, Mobile Cooking Teacher. I'm gonna put us on gallery view so they can see both of us at the same time. Hi, Erin. Hi, Erin. I'm so happy to be a new member. Hi, Latrice. Welcome. So excited to have you as an eBoss. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I'm so excited to have Mia here. We are really excited because, how many times can I say excited, right? We are really excited because we haven't done an eBoss talk on my channel in quite a while. I know you guys are bearing with me. I haven't posted as much informational content lately just because I have been channeling so much of my informational brain cells into my upcoming course. So, and like all of the prep that is going into that. So it has been a lot going on as per usual. And I'm really excited because my eBrand club, like through the month of July, my members are like, how can we serve you? How can we help you? What can we do? And I'm like, we can, do an eBoss talk. You guys can kind of like help drive the boat of the club for the month of July. So that way, we can kind of make sure everything is tight in all the other areas of Earn on Demand, being that the eBrand Club has been up and running for 2 years. Can you guys believe that? So it's just really exciting to see like how much the club has grown, how close a lot of the members have become, how much of a family it is. And it is just, I don't know, it's just really cool. So today we are doing an eBoss talk. We've done a few in the past. We did one with our first member, Nia Taylor Clark. We did one with an attorney who was a member. We did one with Shayna from her, who is also another YouTuber. So we're super excited to like, I love sharing my platform with my eBosses. And so Mia has been in the club for a while, but she is just killing the game. And I'm so excited for you, Mia, because you just are the epitome of like what I hope people who sign up for the club do. Like you come in, you're active, you take advantage of the resources, you're always on the lives, you are implementing the information, and it's just so cool to see like how much you have grown throughout these throughout your time in the club. And wherever everything takes you that you're doing, I'm so excited to see your journey unfold. So tell us about yourself, Mia. Tell us like where you're from, what you do, and even how you stumbled upon the club.
Yeah. So hi, everyone. My name is Mia Williams, and I'm so excited to be here. I'm the founder of a platform called The Colors of Her Success, and it is a relatable career platform for 20-something women who are navigating their first big girl job. And I stumbled across the club because I've been a fan of Erin since she started her channel. And I've been watching, like many of you all, I'm sure you guys have been watching her journey and been inspired by her. So around October of 2020, when I decided to really go for it in my business, I decided to join the eBrand Club. And mostly because I had no idea how to start a business, let alone how to grow it on social media. So I've been in the eBrand Club for a few months, and it's completely changed the trajectory of my business. So I'm so excited to share that with you all.
Yes. So actually, Mia has created a presentation that she is going to share because, okay, if you guys aren't a member of the club, every Monday, usually at 8:30, we do a live lesson, and it's usually me who's presenting, or we have an expert masterclass. So sometimes for those, we have eBosses come in and present as well. So basically this time we're sharing it with all of YouTube instead of just in the membership club. So Mia is actually going to present. She has prepared a deck, which is basically a fancy or industry word of slides. So she has prepared a deck for us, and she's going to go through it, and then we're going to take questions afterward. So Mia, tell us what you're presenting about, and then we'll have a Q&A after Mia is done.
Sure. Can I share my screen now?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, awesome. So I've given you, let me know when you guys can see my screen. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay. All right. So today I will be presenting on content, but more specifically, how to create content that wows your target audience. So super excited, and it'll be a good conversation. So afterwards, please ask me anything. I am an open book and ready to share. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So we did a little introduction into who I am, but for a little bit more context, I am 24 years old, and I'm from Prince George's County, Maryland. And if you're from PG County or the DMV, drop it in the chat and let me know. And from 9 to 5, I am an analyst at a global consulting technology firm. And then from 5 to 9, I'm going full force to bring the colors of her success to life. I am somewhat of a professional development nerd, and I have been doing professional development work for about 4 years. And it started when I was an undergrad, working at my school's career center, helping over 900 students with their resumes, cover letters, and LinkedIn profiles. And I learned really quickly that I have a knack for helping college students land jobs and sell themselves to employers. And I actually used myself as an experiment because I graduated college with 5 internships. So the experiences that I've gained over the past 4 years have given me the tools to make the Colors of Her Success a platform that empowers young women on their own career journeys. So what is the Colors of Her Success? So TCHS is a relatable career platform that helps the everyday 20-something woman of color secure her seat at the table. So I do this in 3 ways. The first is I do monthly interviews with high-powered women of color from a variety of fields. So 1 minute I'm interviewing a Black forensic scientist, and the next I'm interviewing the vice president of BET on her professional and personal advice. The second way that I do that is by offering one-on-one professional development services. So that's resumes, cover letters, and mock interview appointments. And then finally, on Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok, I'm sharing bite-sized tips on how to boss up personally and professionally. But before we go further into content, I would love to share with you the why behind my platform, because at the core of any good piece of content is a strong brand behind it with a solid purpose. So if you were to ask me why I started The Colors of Her Success, I would tell you that it all started with Olivia Pope. I believe representation is important. And as a brown-skinned Black girl, I grew up with little positive representation of women who looked like me. And here's what I mean by that. I noticed very early that brown-skinned women were either misrepresented or underrepresented, right? So we were never really there, but if we were there, we were never in the lead roles. We were often depicted as stereotypically the angry, aggressive, sassy best friend or of lower socioeconomic status. I rarely got to see myself represented in a positive light, and this had a huge self-esteem on my self-confidence as I was growing up. But it wasn't until one Thursday night I got introduced to Olivia Pope that I began to see myself differently. Because up until that point, I'd never seen a brown-skinned woman dominating the way she did. She was the smartest in the room. She was the most prepared. She was 10 steps ahead of everyone, and she was fly. So watching Olivia Pope triggered a new sense of confidence in me. I began to see new possibilities in my future. I spoke with more confidence, and I even majored in communications to do crisis PR like Olivia Pope. And I tell you all that to say that I am living proof of what can happen when you have positive representation, when you can see yourself in someone who's successful. So I created this platform to give representation to the real life Olivia Popes of the world, to the women of color who are just completely dominating in their fields. When young women are reading these interviews, I want them to get that same burst of confidence that I got when I was first inspired by Olivia Pope. And over the course of a year, this platform has developed into more than just interviews. It's turned into a unique career resource that truly speaks to young women of color in a way that they understand and in a way that is relatable. And because of that, my content has gone viral on LinkedIn. It's gone viral on TikTok. I've been recognized by LinkedIn. I've been featured in the Wall Street Journal. But I'm not a social media guru or a branding expert. I don't even have thousands of followers. But my content has impact, and it has impact with the exact audience that I want it to impact. So how do I do that? Well, let's get into it. So how do you tap into your target audience? So I found this quote from this LinkedIn influencer. His name is Terry Rice. And he says that if you're creating content for everyone, you're not creating content for anyone. So everyone loves to say, well, my business is great for everyone. Like everyone can use it. And while that may be true, we got to bring it in just a little bit, right? So you have to make your content targeted and specific. Otherwise, it'll be really hard for your content to land. So let's take it back to the basics of what is the target audience. So the target audience is a specific type of person you want to consume your content. You want them, this is the person that you want to buy your service or product. So when you're thinking of your target audience, think ideal customer. So there's this misconception that just because you target this one specific customer or group doesn't mean that you're excluding other people from consuming your content. You're not, right? You're just making it a little bit more centered. So for example, my target audience is young women of color from 20 to 26 who are navigating their first big girl job. Just because I have this audience doesn't mean that others aren't benefiting from the content, right? So sometimes there are men in their 30s who are benefiting from the content as well. So if you want to learn a little bit more about target audience, Erin has a really good video on how to target your audience because she goes into the difference between your target audience and your actual audience. And this video is actually where I started. So a great starting point for anyone who's trying to learn their target audience. So the first thing that I did to tap into my target audience was that I created a persona, right? So this is a specific person that represents your ideal customer. So when you're creating this persona, think about what is their age, what's their gender, what do they do for a living? How do they spend their free time? What do they look for on social media? And what are some of their goals? So for me, I view my persona as a real girl. I know her interests, I know her routine, I know what shows she's into, I know the things she's interested in when it comes to social media. And I keep this persona in mind for my content, from figuring out what kind of content I'm going to create to the language that I'll use in the caption to grab their attention. So just to wrap it up, I'm not creating content for everyone. I'm creating content for this specific girl. So the next way to tap into your target audience is to hone in on your social media platforms. Determine which platforms you want to focus on, because there's so many platforms. Every social media platform is different, and it can be really overwhelming to try to be on every one posting quality content consistently, right? So I would start by mastering 2 platforms. So have one primary platform and one secondary platform. And then use these 2 platforms to learn your target audience. Keep putting content out, and by trial and error, you're going to start to learn what your audience likes. So for me, my primary social media platform is Instagram, and my secondary platform is LinkedIn. And it took me like a year of focusing on these 2 to really understand the type of content that resonates with my audience. So if you're in the eBrand Club and you want to learn a little bit more about which platform is for you or your business, Erin has a live lesson called Which Social Media Platform Should I Be On? And that's a really great starting point, because again, that's where I started. So the next thing when thinking about your target audience is you have to have a look that would be attractive to them, right? So I started by making my content on Canva, but I noticed really quickly that everyone makes their content on Canva. And if I really wanted to stand out as a brand, I had to have a look that was distinguishable and attractive to my target audience. So if you think about it, guys, people are consuming so much content in one day on Instagram, YouTube, podcast. It's so easy to just lose something in all of the content that you're consuming. So you gotta stand out a little bit. So this is what my grid looked like before. And it's almost cringy to see. Like, it's a little disorganized. It's like no consistent color scheme. It's giving chaotic. Like, it's just too much. So what I did was I invested in a brand designer who took the time to understand my brand and then completely nailed the brand identity. So as you can see, it's like a consistent color scheme. It's a little bit more unique, and it's kind of a design that you don't really see everywhere. And the colors are really appealing, right? So it would have been really easy for my designer to give me a super corporate kind of look because my content is career driven, but we kept my target audience in mind as we developed this look. So this is how it turned out. All right. So my goal when creating content is to first create quality content, right? You want the content to be of good quality. But my second goal is to make sure that quality content is shareable. So that when I make a piece of content and it's shareable, then I've hit social media gold, right? Because it means that my target audience is going to share this to their audience, and then it'll attract more people to my page. So how do you create shareable content? Well, I think I can break it down into 3 areas that have been really successful for me. So highly informational posts do really well. Then if the content is emotional and makes them feel something, that also does really well. And then the third piece of content that does really well is a post that's timely. So I'm going to break down my most successful pieces of content with you all and show you how they fit into these buckets. Okay. So the first one is highly valuable and actionable. So this one is, how do I negotiate my salary? So this is something that people at every age struggle with, but especially my target audience, because I know when we get jobs, a lot of the times we're just happy to be here. So we'll take anything. But we have to start asking for higher salaries, right? So I provided a word for word script on how to do that from when you get your offer letter, the email you'll send back to get the conversation started. And then the next post on the carousel is the phone script that you'll use when you are negotiating your salary. So people wanted to share this and save it because they feel like they'll use it. Even if they're not exactly job searching in the moment, they're like, oh, but when I do job search or when I do want to ask for more money, I can come back to this, right? So one of our eBosses, her name is Shamir, she actually let me know that she used this script in her salary negotiation process and she was super confident. And then she followed up with me and let me know that she got everything that she asked for in the salary negotiation process. And Shamir is in my target audience. So you go, girl. So the next example of a highly valuable post or actionable post was the TikTok that landed me in the Wall Street Journal. Now, I want to analyze this TikTok with you all really quickly because short form content is the new wave of social media, and your brand or business has to be adjusted to targeting your audience on TikTok or Instagram Reels. So I'm going to play it for you all. Let me make sure I'm sharing my sound. Okay. Just let me know if you could hear it real quick. Oh, did you hear that? Okay.
Oh, so you worked in retail as a sales associate? Did you assist customers? Or did you improve the customer shopping experience by utilizing product knowledge to provide personalized recommendations that led to increased sales revenue? Did you promote the store credit card? Or did you utilize unique selling tactics to demonstrate the benefits of purchasing the card to meet target sales goals and improve customer loyalty? I don't know, you tell me.
So this TikTok went viral because it was highly valuable and actionable. So 32% of our population has worked in retail, and that is a statistical fact. And a lot of people don't feel like their retail experience is good enough to put on their resume, which is not true. So I wanted to use this TikTok to show people that there's value in all of your experience. And if someone wanted, they could take the action of writing down every single thing I just said in that TikTok and putting it into a resume bullet and turning that in. Like, it would be fine. So the second thing I want to point out about this TikTok is that everything you're looking at is extremely strategic to my target audience. Starting with my look, I'm not wearing a blazer or a button-up t-shirt. I'm wearing a cute top from Pretty Little Thing, hoop earrings, and eyelashes. And this is a look that appeals to my target audience. And then the second thing is that I'm also holding a cup of iced coffee. And if you're on TikTok and you're keeping up, you know that iced coffee is very trendy on TikTok, especially when it's in a mason jar. I don't know why, but I gained 6,000 followers that day, and almost all of them were in my target audience. So there's got to be a strategy behind everything that you do, and you've got to keep your target audience in mind for all of it.
Oh, so you worked in retail as...
Okay, so this is really funny because this was a piece of content that makes people feel something, but this was also a piece of content that was done before my rebrand. So I'm looking at it and I'm cringing, but it was a really important post. So the time that I posted this was last summer. And it was when we were coming off or dealing with the social unrest after George Floyd's murder. And that weekend, Rayshard Brooks was just killed by Atlanta police. So I knew that that Monday was going to be really tough, especially for my target audience, because we would go into work. I say we because I'm a part of my target audience, but a lot of them would go into work and pretend everything was okay, right? So if you get asked, well, how was your day? How was your weekend? It's so easy to just be like, oh, good. But this was not the time to hide our emotions. We really had to speak up. So this was The title was Yes, We're Exhausted, and Here's How to Say It at Work. So this was a script on how to honestly answer the questions that you'll get. So if you scroll through the carousel, you would see like, how was your weekend? You seem down. Are you okay? Or how can we support you? It was answers for all of that. So this post was really a great example of tapping into emotion because it tapped into the exhaustion that we as people of color were feeling as we went into work and had to just put on this face like we were okay, and we weren't okay for like weeks on end.
I just want to chime in here, Mia, because, well, I've been wanting to chime in for like all of them. But I would say that this is actually an example of actionable, make them feel something, and timely. So it's like, you know, you don't have to pick one. Like it can be something that really just hits all of the things. But this is a great example because it ties in the emotional, it gives them an action item of exactly what to say, and it pairs with the time of which, you know, everyone is feeling that. So love that. This is great. And also don't cringe at your old stuff. Like I know it's cringy, but this is great. And honestly, the bottom line is that the message is sent, because the post still was successful, even though it may have not been the color scheme that you preferred, but it still got the job done and the message out. So great job. Okay, I won't chime in no more. Keep going.
No, you can chime in. It's okay. But no, I've been wanting to say that, like when I outline those 3 bullets of like timely or highly actionable, that content often is multiple things. Like the next example I'm going to give falls into more than one bucket, and that's okay. So my example of timely was this post. So this was actually my most shared post that I've ever done. And this happened pretty recently. So this was affirmations for recent college graduates. And it was about 4 slides of just affirmations to give them confidence and uplift them as they head into this journey after graduation. So this one says, I will end up exactly where I'm supposed to be. If I had posted this in September or early November, it might not have hit the same way. So timing is really important. But again, I also think it taps into the feeling of uncertainty that we all feel after graduation. So that, I believe, is why that post did really well. And I have one more example for timely. So this post was me announcing that Sonia Sotomayor, who was the first woman of color to sit on the Supreme Court, would swear in Kamala Harris, who obviously is the first woman of color to become vice president. Now, people weren't really talking about this that much, and I thought it was huge. So I posted it about 10 a.m. the morning of inauguration, so right before everything started. And it did pretty well because people were so excited about the inauguration. Well, most people were excited about the inauguration, and they were looking for content to post. So this was a very informative post that was really timely and did really well with my audience. All right, so my top tips for standing out on social media when you're creating content are 3 things: master storytelling, put a face behind the brand, and analyze your competitors. You guys, so much of my content creation has been trial and error. So I wanted to leave you all with these few things. So mastering the art of storytelling. So in the eBrand Club, we read Stories That Stick, and it's by Kendra Hall. Oh my gosh, did it change the way that I created content everywhere? Storytelling has the power of connection. So it is a great way to bridge the gap between you and your audience. So for example, this is a post that I posted on LinkedIn not too long ago, maybe like last week, and it did really well. So for context, I've been having a lot of wins lately as I've been building TCHS. And instead of going on LinkedIn and being like, I got featured in the Wall Street Journal, and I did my first 2 speaking engagements, and I had my highest revenue month, I told the story of how I decided to face my fears this year and how each fear that I faced led to a win. And then I ended by encouraging my audience to step into their fears. Even if you have to ugly cry while doing it, just go for it. And oh my goodness, did LinkedIn love it. Not only did it get high engagement in terms of likes and views and comments, but what mattered to me was that people were commenting and DMing me about how they were facing their own fears in their lives. So people were like, I'm getting my master's at 40 and I'm nervous, but I'm doing it because your post inspired me. And that's the power of storytelling. That is what it can do if you master it. So Stories That Stick by Kendra Hall, short read, but so impactful. Okay, so my second tip is to put a face behind the brand. As I'm creating the colors of her success, I love putting myself in front of it, and not because I'm vain, but because it humanizes the brand. So I'm not just giving you resume tips, like I'm not just the resume person. I am Mia, and you know that it is me giving you this content, right? And then the other reason why I say to put the face in front of the brand is because it helps me connect with my target audience on a deeper level. Now, I'm lucky, again, because I just so happen to be my target audience, but I capitalize on that. And finally, it creates trust, right? So whenever I sell or promote something, my audience is going to gravitate towards it because they trust me. Like, think about Erin and her top 3 notebook. We've been on YouTube watching her do her top 3 for like the past 3 years. So when she released the notebook, everybody's like, yeah, like, where do I sign up? Because she's created trust. So you want to put the face behind the brand as much as possible. And finally, my last tip is to analyze your competitors. So this tip is not something I hear too many people talk about, so I'm gonna say it. So I'll preface this by doing it with caution, but I recommend analyzing your competitors to improve your content. Now, I'm not saying go to their page, obsess over how their content compares to yours, because that's not important. But I do think you should analyze your customer so that you can understand the market and recognize where there's opportunity. So the first thing to do is to start by looking at how you differ, right? Because it's easy to compare when you think like you're so alike. So focus on how you're different, right? So look at their goals, their missions, and determine what's different. What's your value proposition versus theirs? Next, I recommend looking at their strengths. So look at what they're doing really well and take note of how you can do it, but better. And then finally, look at the opportunity. So what are they not doing and how can you fill that gap? So there's tons of platforms who interview women of color, right? There's tons of them, but do they have a story about Olivia Pope and representation to back it up? Probably not. Do they offer one-on-one professional development services? Not all the time. So there are different ways to understand how you differ from everyone. And sometimes it's helpful to mute your competition. Like, I have competitors that follow me and I follow them, but I'll mute them because I do sometimes feel like, what are they like? Is our content too similar or something like that? But check in every once in a while. Like, I would say every quarter, maybe check in just to see like, okay, how's it going? How can I change? How can I improve? And keep in touch with your competitors so that you can stay relevant. So that's my spiel. Thank you guys so much for this.
Goodness. That was so good.
Thank you.
This is how we can find you.
Yes, this is how you can find me. So if you feel like this content I presented today was your jam, definitely follow the Colors of Her Success on Instagram. My personal Instagram is Leave It to Mia. I would love to connect with you all. On LinkedIn, we're the Colors of Her Success, and you can subscribe to my email newsletter. I do a bi-weekly, somewhat motivational newsletter every 2 weeks. So subscribe at thecolorsofhersuccess.com.
Ooh, that was so good, Mia. I love all the points that you made. I thought especially how you broke down how your content relates to your target audience, aside from just what you're talking about. And I think that's a really important thing for people to know. And that's why video is just so powerful, because video and like photos and things of that nature, because with your TikTok, you know, seeing what you were wearing, seeing that you were drinking your coffee and things like that. And even for me, like when I first started my channel, I also knew that my target audience, like I want them to be girls who like fashion and this, and like, you know, wanna like enjoy keeping themselves up and stuff like that. So I always made sure that I showed up in that way. And so I think it's so good for people to know that your target audience is not just about what you're saying all the time. It's about how you deliver it. It's about, you know, what you look like, what your background may look like, you know, like all of those things kind of factor into connecting with the right person that you're looking for. So loved this. This was so good. It was so loaded with information that I think so many people have taken at least something away, aside from the fact that you just speak so fluidly, and I am so impressed. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I am a product of you, right? So
yes, and for the eBosses, and even if you're not in the club, the club will be officially, I'm serious, you guys, it has been open for 2 weeks, more than it was supposed to be open. It will be closing tomorrow. So if you are interested in getting in the club, please go ahead and sign up. I ended up saying, okay, I'm gonna just keep it for the eBoss talk, because I know people are probably gonna want to sign up after they see the live, but it will be closing tomorrow for sure. Sarah, hold me to that, please. So I want to take some questions. Love that you put in some little nuggets of information that they can go in and dive a little deeper with, such as target audience, if they're in the club, some lessons that they can watch. But do you guys have any additional questions for Mia, you know, about her platform, about how to grow your target, or how to grow your audience, or how to nail your content? I'm gonna see if there are any questions that come through.
I didn't have the chat up during the presentation, so I'm like looking back. You guys are so sweet.
Yeah, you did amazing.
What is the link for eBosses?
Sarah, can you drop the link for the club in here?
Okay, so how do you find your passion? I am distracted as I want to be successful in everything. Oh. I would say tune into yourself. You know, you know what you would be passionate about if you really just cut out the noise and take time to meditate, journal, self-reflect. That is how you come up with your best ideas. And my friends know that I am such social media like adverse. Like I don't keep up, like I don't even keep the social media apps on my phone because I find it distracting. But I find that I'm most creative when I'm off of social media, when I'm solid in my routine, when I'm meditating, journaling, and really tapping into myself. And it's so much easier to find a clear purpose when you are in tune to what you like. But Erin, you're really good at answering those kind of questions.
I would say that her answer, I think it's a woman. I would say that your answer is kind of in your question already. You said, how do you find your passion? I am distracted as I want to be successful in everything. I think it's so important to know that we can be like multi-passionate. We don't have to just be passionate about one thing and then just do that for the rest of our lives. Like we can be passionate about a whole bunch of different stuff, and that's fine. But I think that it's okay to also kind of compartmentalize that and understand that, like, okay, even though I'm passionate about all these things, I'm actually gonna focus and execute on this one passion for right now. You know, like I think you need to kind of give your passions some hierarchy. And if one of the passions is something that you can monetize now and that's a priority for you, then focus on that passion now, and whatever the passion that's going to open the doors for the other passions to be able to come to life. So I wouldn't be too I wouldn't beat yourself up about, you know, being passionate about multiple things. But if you are finding yourself distracted, I would say, kind of try to figure out the root of your distraction and know that you can be successful in everything, but you don't have to do everything at one time. Because when that happens, you get less done. So, and I even like to tell my story when it comes to this, because I started my YouTube channel and that was all I was focusing on at one point. And then that opened the door to, my business, taking off, which then opened the door to, the e-brand club, and then the top 3 notebooks. And then, like everything kind of built on top of each other, which were all things that I would say that I've been passionate about, but now, with time, they get to come to life one thing at a time. So I hope that helps.
So Bobby from the eBrand Club. Oh, are you choosing the question? Okay. Bobby from the eBrand Club said, how do you go about collaborating with competitors to make them an asset? I'm trying to gain as much experience so that I can I'm trying to gain as much experience that I can with my film production company. So I actually encourage that. Like if one of my competitors reached out to me and wanted to do a live, because like an Instagram live, because our content is so aligned, I would absolutely do that, because again, I don't feel intimidated by my competitors because we have 2 different missions, and it is a way for my audience to get exposure to the competitor, and then my competitor to get me to get exposure to my competitor's audience. So you can always, honestly, you can reach out. Like if you would like to, you can shoot them a DM and say, hey, I think our content is aligned. I would love to talk and learn from you and see how we can collaborate in the future. And a lot of times they'll be open to it, because just because you're competitors doesn't mean you can't like collaborate. You absolutely can.
Yeah. And the thing about it is that, like, even though you create content similarly to someone else, I don't even always necessarily think it makes you competitors. Only because it's like, how many of y'all have seen Catherine's videos, and then Vanessa Lau's videos, and then follow Isis on Instagram, and follow, whoever else creates content similarly to mine. It's like, the great thing about having an online presence is that a lot of times people enjoy consuming different people's content for slightly different reasons, even if the content has a similar vein. So it's like, you probably don't only follow one person who's great at social media. You probably follow like 3 to 5 or even more than that. And it's like, that's what's so great about now, is that like competition doesn't necessarily mean that you're like competing for the same person. It's like, now attention is more of the competition rather than people. It's like, how can I actually get someone to read my whole caption? Or how can I actually get someone to watch more than half of my video? It's not so much of like, I don't want them to click on her video, so I'm gonna, blah, blah, blah. So I think that we just also have to look at competition a little bit differently now too, because so many people everyone has access to so much information that people are following and engaging with, so many of the same niche of people now. So I think that if anything, that's more encouraging than discouraging.
Agreed.
Do you see any other good questions?
For someone who don't have any followers, what do you recommend for someone who just created an IG business page and don't have any followers or posts just yet? I won't have products for another year, and I struggle with what my first step should be. Do you want to go first?
I don't even see that question. Hold on.
It's from Connie M. My first thought would be to have a plan. Like, you'd be surprised at how once you start the business page, you like are struggling to come up with content. So you could think about like, well, what is my goal for this business page? What do I want people to do? And then I would lay out like, how are you going to do that? What kind of content are you going to drop? So maybe create content pillars, like maybe I'm going to give a sneak peek, or maybe I'm going to, tell a little bit of the story behind my business. When I first started my Instagram, I just told them the why. Like I always started with my why of why I'm at this page, why I have this page, and why I'm creating this content for you. So kind of just introducing yourself to your followers is a good way to get started.
I agree. I would even say too, I think that that's a great point. And I will also think of like what exactly they need and try to really capitalize on that, just as Mia was talking about with trends, timeliness, any way that you can kind of try to cut the line to get your target audience persona's attention is really important when you're starting from zero. Again, remember that everyone starts from zero. So you're not alone in this. We've all had zero. So I would definitely say if you can hop on things that don't require you to have a lot of followers to get a lot of attention, such as Instagram Reels. It's being pushed like insanity. So is TikTok. It's being pushed insanely. So I would say capitalize on short form video if you are starting from zero. I don't care how many pictures you post and use hashtags, you may not reach as many people as you would using these trendy platforms that are really pushing, no matter really how many followers you can get hundreds of thousands or millions of views, just like Mia showed us. And she gained 6,000 followers in a day from TikTok. So I would say use the information that she provided today as your step one. Like this is a great starting point of, just it's really just a matter of you putting these things into action. And that is like the biggest thing where when you're consuming information, you really have to take some time, process it, and then figure out, okay, what is my actionable or searchable content? What does that look like? Okay, what are some trendy things that I can capitalize on? Like what season are we in? What's going on right now? What can I use as kind of a bait to feed my content in a different way or in a trendier, more timely way? Think of those three kind of categories that she gave and try to figure out what types of content you can squeeze into those and start creating.
Yeah. And I would also like to add, like, I don't have a lot of followers, right? Like I'm still very new to my own Instagram page, but this is just what I found has worked for me. So we are definitely not far from each other. Like I was just in your shoes last summer. Somebody said, and I think I lost it, but somebody said, I'm in the resume. Oh, I'm also in the career resume space. How do you develop consistent content that is relatable? And I actually have another example to show for this. So I'll share my screen one more time.
Okay.
So if you're in the career, can you see my screen?
Nope.
Oh, okay. If you're in the career space, it is so easy to lose your target audience because resumes and cover letters are probably like the least sexiest thing that you could talk about on social media, to be honest with you. You can see this screen I'm showing you, right? Of Instagram. Okay. So I try to be
creative. We see your presentation. It says color. It's the thank you page on your presentation.
Do you see this now?
Yep. I can see.
So I try to be extremely creative with it, right? So for this post, it's the anatomy of a cover letter. Now, I didn't say, oh, here's how to write a cover letter. I called it the anatomy of a cover letter. And I have a sample here. And at the top, I have the name Mary Jane Paul. And I have that because I know that 9 times out of 10, my target audience has seen Being Mary Jane, right? And so I break down what a cover letter should look like an anatomy textbook, right? Everything that you need should be like right here. And I break down the content and the format and everything. So I would say with like career content, it's really hard, but you have to figure out ways to stand out and be creative. And then if you notice in the caption, I say, raise your hand if cover letters make you cringe. So a lot of people feel that way, but now you have this piece of content on how to do it. It's kind of like a roadmap on how to get started.
Oh,
so I hope that helped.
I think that that's really good. Yeah. And think of what you would have wanted in your time as, you know, when you're developing in your career. And for me as audience, that may look different if she were targeting people like stay-at-home moms who've been on a 10-year gap who are now trying to get back into their career swing. So, you know, that's when your content kind of, you know, when your target audience persona really matters. Not to say that that woman wouldn't get something from her content, but, you know, that's where you can be creative, is when you know who you're targeting. Just kind of how she has the Mary Jane Paul. I literally chuckled because I'm like, oh, being Mary Jane, you know? So that's, I think that above even you giving the, you know, step-by-step, it's the small little details that you make sure you include to relate to your audience that really makes your content stand out.
Yeah. And I see one more question. Any helpful tips for someone who's shy? I have a few tips, because I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm shy, but I was just very, very scared to put myself out there with video content. And it was to the point where like I would cry as I was hitting post because I was so nervous about what people might think of me. So first I would try to understand, like, is it that you're shy, or are you worried about like how it may come off, if you won't say the right things, or if people might laugh at you, like whatever it is, just try to get to the root of it. And then I just say, have the confidence to go for it, right? Like just have the confidence to sit down and figure out how you're going to put yourself out there and do it. Because if I was afraid of what everybody was thinking about me, or the fact that I'm introverted, I wouldn't be here right now sharing this with you all. So you have to take that leap. I've also like had a YouTube channel before, and I've deleted it like 4 times because I was nervous and I was scared. But this is the first time that I actually decided to like, I'm sticking with it. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it scared. So just do it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I will just add to the point of, you do not have to be this like super vivacious person. And like, I don't want people to confuse like, okay, I'm a more reserved, like my personality is not super, you know, spunky. And that's okay. I think that you can have charisma and be a great person on video without having a huge personality. And, you know, the biggest thing is just being yourself and being confident in who you are. So even though like me and Mia are both like, you know, I would say that we're pretty like high energy speakers and like, you know, but even if you aren't like that, that doesn't mean that you won't or can't be successful with video. Okay, let's see. Do we have a few more? Dee said, when building your personal brand, is it necessary to have a strict aesthetic? I would say that this is is it necessary? No. There are a lot of people who have very successful brands and do not have a strict aesthetic. If you are creating a lot of curated content, meaning you're creating a lot of graphics and like you're using a lot of words and things like that on your page, I would recommend having some sort of look, just as Mia said, because it can start to get really busy when you're using your Instagram particularly as something that is pushing a lot of information and a lot of words. But I wouldn't say that it's totally necessary. You can execute a good brand without an aesthetic, but you do want your images to be clear. You want them to be, you know, not pixelated. You want them to be bright. Like there are some things that are just like the foundation of having great quality images. But for some people, having certain templates and visuals that are kind of go-to help them create content a lot faster. And so I feel like if you're one of those people who are like, I do not have the bandwidth to think about like how I'm gonna make this resume post look cute. Maybe you create 10 templates for yourself, and those are what you use and you plug and chug, and that aesthetic is kind of built into your templates. So I think that with this, it's kind of a tough question, because you can have a successful brand with a very strict aesthetic, and you can have a very successful brand without a strict aesthetic. So, it's really what it boils down to is preference, and what makes sense for you and your target audience persona. And I would say try it out. Like, try out making posts that look very aesthetic, I guess, whatever that means to you. And then try posting some raw images, some raw videos that the quality is good, but it doesn't necessarily have the same look, and just see what your audience gravitates to. I think that's the best way to kind of figure out like the style of your content. Do you have anything, Mia?
No, I think you nailed it.
Okay.
Yeah. I found a good one. This one says, I lose a lot of followers on Instagram and never bought followers or bots. I'm gaining and losing at the same time, so there's no growth. Any ideas on what to do to solve this problem? I have questions because I will wonder, like, what kind of content are you posting? Are you posting too little and people are forgetting, and when they're scrolling down the people that they're following, they're just unfollowing you because they don't know why they're following you? Or is it that you're posting, but nothing you're posting is of value to them? So they're like, I'm gonna go, right? So I would wonder what kind of content you're posting, and if you're posting too much or not enough. You have thoughts, Erin?
Okay, I was actually grabbing the eBrand Club.
Oh, yeah. He keeps losing followers on Instagram. So he's gaining them and then losing them. So I was just like, I wonder what kind of content you're posting, or if you're not posting enough, or if you're posting too much and it's not valuable to the audience.
Yeah, I think those are all good things to think about. And then also, like, I gain and lose followers every day. And so it's like, like some of it is just natural. Like, it's just gonna happen. But if your followers are just constantly declining, then that's not good. But yeah, I think you hit it on the head with saying, look at what you're doing. You may need to create a new page if you use bots, or did follow for follow, or did some of those like spammy type of things to grow your following, and now it's kind of like dwindling off. So those are definitely not good ways to build your following, guys. Please use have real followers, have people, because at the end of the day, like, that's not going to do you any good. So, but yeah, I think those are good things to analyze,
Yeah. And I, like she said, I lose followers a lot too. And it comes with the game. Like, you can't take it personally.
Exactly. Christian Lopez asks, how do you narrow down or find your brand colors for your aesthetic and logo?
That was hard. Like, if you remember that first post that I showed you guys of like what colors I wanted, I was really struggling with it. I'm not a brand designer, and I knew that was not my strength. So I hired my strength. So I hired a brand designer who helped me pick the colors. Because there was no way I was going to be able to do it. But if you think you have a little bit more of a creative eye, Canva has like color palettes. Like, if you go to Canva and go to like the color picker, or there's like some part of Canva where they have like color schemes for you that you can pick from. So I would recommend something like that. But my first piece of advice, if you are not like very artistic and design is not your strong suit, I would contact a brand designer for that because it's so hard.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. When I, just for a little bit of reference, when I ended up hiring my designer who did my website and then also did my brand guide and just everything, she was so thorough with our brand guide. And what I did before she even started designing was she was like, pin everything, pin stuff that inspires you, pin things that make you feel good, like what you want your brand to evoke. And then we kind of like went through that and found like the common thread. I like gravitated to like neutrals, but then like pops of burgundy, pops of like emerald green, like pops of like goldish yellowy colors. So like then she took my like the neutral palette, because I'm like, I don't want my brand to feel too girly, but I also want it to feel feminine to some extent because most of my audience is women. So, you know, I think that you need to know some extent of like who you're trying to reach with your audience, because that will impact your color palette and what your branding collateral looks like. But I would say that if you do have no idea, like really try to pin things that inspire you or like make you feel good or are the direction you want to go in, and then try to find those common threads. And then what's crazy and so cool is that once she created this brand guide, which has like all of my brand colors and like secondary colors and, you know, logos and this and that, like all the things, like now like my whole team has access to that. And like when they create stuff, you know, they're using that. And so it really does help to have some sense of brand identity. But for now, I would say Canva is a great start, or
it is,
having some, you know, yeah, Canva is a great start, or any type of design program that you can like just play around with some different colors, and maybe choose one or two colors that you like, and then see different hues of that color and use multiple of those in your branding. So you don't have to just have hot pink and, you know, lime green. Like you want to have different hues of pink and green to kind of like make it not look cheap, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I see a lot of questions about like if my content is still in Canva, and people are now worried about the way that their content looks. Guys, I didn't hire a brand designer until like my page was like a few hundred followers in. I was just posting the content. So I don't want you guys to get too distracted by like hiring the brand designer and making sure your content looks good. That'll come with time. I would say focus on the quality first, and then the way it looks second. And then I do still use Canva. So some people were asking that. I do still use Canva. I use a mix of Adobe Illustrator and Canva to create my content, because sometimes it just takes too long in Adobe and I need to do something a little quicker. So Canva is still something that I use. So I don't want to discourage you guys from using it. Use it. It's really good.
Absolutely. And once you do decide on your brand colors, you can actually like make your own color palette, like your own brand color palette in Canva. So that way, when you are making thumbnails for YouTube and when you are making Instagram posts, you have your full color palette. You know, whenever you create a new template, it's just there. So you can make sure your exact colors are being used every time. So, well, this was great. I am so happy that we did this, Mia.
Me too. It was really good. Like you guys were great interacting. Like these were great questions.
Yes, you guys had some great questions. If you are interested in joining the eBrand Club, please do. It is such a great community, you guys. And y'all see like a whole bunch of eBosses are in the chat now. And it is just a community full of support. Like I said, we do live lessons every week. And we do master classes every month. So this month we have the Budgetnista coming in, who is going to talk to us about business, about investing, about business credit. And it's just going to be really full of information. So that's the goal with the club, y'all, is to provide you all information. If you are, even if you are not a super beginner in entrepreneurship, but you really want a community to support you. So this is great for beginners and people who are kind of like, you know, maybe you're in the slight swing of things, but you just want some more accountability. You want more resources. You want more community. This is the perfect place for you. So it is, you know, it has been up and popping for 2 years now, which is crazy. And it has truly transformed so many people and so many businesses. And I'm so glad that Mia is one of them, because the community really is as good as everyone inside of it. And it is just such a testament that there are so many amazing entrepreneurs who are eBosses and who have connected over time through this club. So, and who have gone off to, like, even if they're not still in the eBrand club, but they have gone off and have lifelong friends from this club, because it really is difficult sometimes to find like-minded people. So thank you so much, Mia. If you guys are interested in joining the club, I left the link in the chat, but you can go to my website and it's still open and will be closing tomorrow morning. So I am cutting it off because we've had it open for a little bit longer than we anticipated. So, all right, you guys, please make sure you follow Mia and contact her for all of your, you know, all of your needs regarding, you know, HR, regarding resumes, regarding all the things, because she is truly incredible and full of information. So I love you all. Thank you, Mia.
Bye, guys.
Bye.